They found a heart murmur when I was about 1. This is going to sound crazy, but about halfway through my pregnancy, I was woken up in the middle of the night and I felt like God told me that I needed to get my heart checked. My best friend from high school, Elizabeth Story, was in medical school rotation with a cardiologist, Dr. Vinson, in Round Rock. And she was telling him about me and just that it's kind of odd that I had moderate to severe aortic stenosis, yet I was so active. Even all throughout pregnancy, I never got lightheaded, short of breath. I was doing Zumba at 8 months pregnant, and yes, and I had friends who didn't have heart problems and they felt like they were going to faint and they would get short of breath just going up the stairs. This cardiologist was so curious. He said that he wanted to do a case study on me, pro bono, and just see how that was possible. I went down with my mom and my 2-month-old, and they did an echo, and I ran on the treadmill. They did a stress test, and he said, "Wow, your heart, even though you do have moderate to severe aortic stenosis, it barely changed while you were running. You're really, really healthy." And so we were saying goodbye, and I literally had one hand on the door to go home. He said, "Just 1 second, I want to check one more thing." So I went back in, and he did another echo from a different angle. And they were looking at the computer screen, and he left the room. And he sent my friend Elizabeth back in to tell me that my valve looked okay, but that I had what looked like an aneurysm. I immediately called my doctor, Philip Myatt, in Waco, and he arranged for me to have a CT scan ASAP the next day, and he said he would call us the next day with the results. And I didn't know it at the time, but he went ahead and called my husband a few hours later after my CT scan and told him the measurements and that I was going to need surgery. And my husband didn't tell me that night because he wanted us to have one last peaceful dinner. The next morning we did go see Dr. Myatt, and he told me the measurements of my aneurysm. It was 5.2 by 5.4 centimeters. And on someone of my frame, and on a female, that's very large. And then compared to the echo that we looked at that had been done during my pregnancy, it had grown rapidly. They took out the valve that I was born with, the bicuspid aortic valve, and they replaced it with a mechanical valve. And then they covered the aneurysm with a graft. They checked out my heart, and they were just amazed at how well I had recovered. And I do attribute my healthy lifestyle, my exercising, my eating my fruit and vegetables. I really do attribute my easy recovery to that. Couldn't wait to go home and hold him again. He loves all things boy-related, cars, trucks, and trains. I am very active with him. We jump on the trampoline, ride bikes, just anything we can do outside. I just had a new appreciation for every moment, whether it was holding him or changing diapers. I just appreciated every second of every day. If I had not had a C-section, I wouldn't have made it to the pushing stage. And I know that exercising and eating right and taking care of your body are extremely important. And I'm so happy that I was able to do that, to be here to take care of my little one. I literally owe my life to those doctors, and for their generosity and for their dedication to what they do and taking special care and to every detail. And I'm so thankful for the research and the technology of those diagnostic tests and the procedures to fix what they find. On September 1st, 2015, I got a phone call that my dad had been found unresponsive in a parking lot and taken to the hospital. And we didn't know what had happened, if he had had a stroke, but he had a massive heart attack and passed away. My dad was a United States Marshal, and he was the chief investigator at the DA's office, and so he seemed invincible. So never in my wildest dreams did I think that he would die of a massive heart attack at the age of 67. One of my last vivid memories of my dad was of him rubbing my feet after my open heart surgery. I was in my hospital bed and he didn't know how to make me comfortable. And so he just rubbed my feet. And that was just such a sweet memory. God told me to follow my heart, and I want you to follow yours.